It's definitely time to drop Dieng. Welcome back to Where Boro Walk. We've got Will and Rich with us to discuss that crazy Norwich game. Also on this week's episode, thank you for joining us. We are looking ahead to the next game, which of course is against Coventry City. We are voting for our player of the month for October, and we're asking Boro fans, which three teams do you dislike the most in the league and would love to see relegated? It's Halloween, so we're being a little bit evil for once on this channel. Let's get straight into it, shall we, with Rich and Will. Welcome back to both of you. We'll get into that Derby game. Oh, it went so well. Derby game. Let's go back to that slide. I'll just edit this bit out. All right, let's get straight into it then. We've got Rich and Will back with us to talk about that Norwich game. Before we do so, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Drop your finger onto that button now. We love making this content for you. We're looking to get over 75 subscribers, hopefully this week. That would be massively appreciated. Rich, as a neutral, thank you so much. That game was absolutely amazing. Did you enjoy it as much as the neutrals did?
I did. It was a bit of a roller coaster. I thought we played some really superb stuff, and again, I've said it before, looked head and shoulders at times. I was a bit worried when they took the lead that it was going to be a long afternoon, but credit the boys. Riley McGree, superb again. Finnazaz, superb. Tommy Conway did what he's there to do, got the chances and put them in. We'll talk about the penalty at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, just happy with the majority of the performance.
Okay, let's start with the negatives then, shall we? Let's get them out of the way and done with before we celebrate more. Let's talk about Dieng, shall we, Will? So Corey says that game is on Conway and Dieng. Absolutely shameful again. Matty says Dieng will be slated here, but he's definitely not at fault. Carrick subs killed the game again. And Finn says Dieng has been abysmal all season. Time to give Bryn a go. So, okay, Coventry come to the Riverside this weekend. Is Dieng in goal for you, Will?
I think he is. I think he will be. I think Carrick will keep his faith in his goalkeeper. He's number one for a reason. I think he is a well-established keeper at this level. I think he was a bit unfortunate with the own goal. His positioning could have maybe been questioned, but I think Bryn, he's only made one appearance this season, and that was in the Carabao Cup. Oh, two appearances, sorry. So yeah, I think Dieng will keep his place.
He hasn't had a great season, though. It's fair to say, isn't it? The usual solid keeper has doesn't look as if he's top of the championship ready, does he?
No, I do agree with that. I'm not sure if it's too realistic if we went out in January and bought a new number one. I do think that maybe other places need strengthening first, but who knows? We might need one. Apart from yesterday, I can't think of too many occasions where he's had a bit of a blinder, but I think I'm going to keep my faith in him.
Okay. What about this point about the substitutions then, Rich? Because people are saying it's not just Dieng's fault. Taking off Doak for Jones was where it went wrong. Ty says this game is on the penalty miss and the subs clear momentum. Dieng will be the boo boy for the third, but it's so unlucky. He isn't to blame for the first two great finishes. Taking Doak off again means we create nothing. Lewis says we bottled it. The Doak for Jones sub in back-to-back away games takes away any threat that we had. Yeah, keeps happening, this, doesn't it? Substitutions are poor. Was that the number one thing you think that wrecked this game for you, Rich?
To a sense. I mean, Doak was, again, it's unsurprising to see their fans happy to see him go off. I think it happened against Watford. A lot of their fans were tweeting that they were really happy that he'd been took off. for me, I am going to aim some criticism at Jones, if I'm honest, because I thought he didn't look interested. For the second goal, he stands off and lets the player just run past him without even attempting a challenge. Earlier in the move, I don't know. It killed us because all our play. I mean, Doak for that second goal. Without Doak, we don't score that goal. And it's his pace, his power, and his honesty to stay on his feet. Because a lot of players these days, the minute they feel the touch, he'd have just gone down on the halfway line.
There was a tweet, I didn't put it up here, that said Doak with a broken arm is better than a fully fit Isaiah Jones. I mean, what frustrates me about Boro, this is just from a neutral, Will, is that there was a point at the end there where Jones had the ball in the corner. All he's got to do is whip it in. He's just got to put a cross in. He's got the defender nowhere near him. He can just whip the ball in. But he takes another touch. He takes it towards the corner. Then he loses the ball, and Norwich got the ball back. And there's just a couple of times where you think, not just Jones, to be fair, but why can't you just play a bit more direct at times? Why has it got to be pretty football?
Well, firstly on Jones, I don't think he's anywhere near the level anymore. He had a good season under Wilder, but that's now 3 years ago, maybe even four. So I think his time is up, and I think he should be sold in January. But yeah, I think a recurring theme this season is Carrick's plan B's been questioned. It's 3-3. The other team's just gone down to 10 men. There's 5 minutes left. Why don't we just pile some pressure on them? Get Jones to whip the ball in the box, fill the box. You never know where it could bounce. We could get a lucky winner. So yeah, I think that I do believe that he's trying to make us play the right way and the right brand of football, but sometimes, like all teams, have to switch it up.
Okay. But yeah, absolutely crazy game. Loved it. Let's talk about some of the key refereeing decisions, shall we? Before we leave it there, let's talk about the sending off first. Rich, was that a red card?
Yep, I think he's got to do him. I think the fact that Hackney sort of sees it coming helps him a little bit. But it was high. It was stood up. No question for me that he deserved the red.
Yeah, Norwich fans felt it was an orange, but yeah, could live with it. Could live with it. Will, what about the penalty decision and and the actual taking of it?
I did think it was a penalty. It's very clever from McGree, just getting his foot in there, and Cordoba didn't have a clue where he was. So from that sense, I do think it was a pen. Slightly soft, but it's clever, and he made contact. And the actual pen itself, yeah, it was devoid of confidence. I'm not sure how he must have been on top of the world with 2 goals, but maybe in the back of his mind, knowing that his hat trick was dependent on that, and maybe seeing that Latte Lath was coming on, so it was his last kick, his last opportunity. But yeah, I feel for him, and I certainly don't think it's the reason we lost. But if he did score, it would have given us a much better chance of not losing.
Okay. All right. Before we talk about Coventry, let's talk a little word about Sheffield United as well, because that was the midweek game, which was a nice, handsome, it was a comfortable-ish win for you, Rich.
Yeah, it was a good game of football between two well-matched teams. I did say midway through we were poor the opening 20 minutes. I thought we looked a bit rattled, we looked a bit nervous. But once we settled into the game, I made the prediction. My cousin, I said, there's going to be 1 goal in this. I said, if they get it, they win. If we get it, we win. But I just thought 2 very good teams. Both had to fight for it. They cleared off the line. We cleared off the line a couple of times. Just a proper game of championship football is the way I would describe the Sheffield United game. To be honest, just there wasn't a clear winner in a sense, but it was good to see Latte get the goal as well, because his movement was superb for that goal, and as delaying the ball into him because he's seen him run offside. Thought it was a really good finish. Really good finish.
Did you applaud Wilder yourselves?
Absolutely not.
Didn't think so. All right, let's talk about Coventry then. So they've just beaten Luton at the weekend at the very last minute. Away from home, though, Will, they have been shocking so far. Do you see this as a comfortable 3 points?
It's never comfortable with Borough. Never comfortable. So I think, well, they're coming off the back of a good win against a struggling Luton side, but it's a good win, so their confidence will have been boosted by that. Borough are coming off the back of some good performances and some decent results. I don't think it'll be comfortable, but I do think we'll win. I think it's time that we have a convincing home win by two goals, I think. So yeah, looking forward to that one.
Okay. Who starts up top for you, Rich?
I think he goes Conway again. Pretty hard to drop after the 2 goals. I understand the penalty miss, but as a manager, you're not going to do him any favours dropping him out on Saturday. I thought his overall game yesterday was really good. He was pulling defenders away and making that space for McGree to get in the pockets, and Azaz seemed to have a lot more space on the ball. So I think it'll be Conway again, with Laugh coming on later.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that, both of you. Let's jump ahead now to October's Player of the Month nominations. You've played your last game now in this month, so I forget who you gave it to last time. Was it? Must have been Morris, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Will, you can go first on this one. Who's impressed you over the last 5 games in this calendar month?
I don't think there's been one particular standout who had run away with it. I think Morris has continued to excel. I think Hackney's done well this month. He popped up with a goal at West Brom and he's looked good in the games. But I think I'm going to give it to George Edmondson. He's come in, he's settled well. He's played a part next to Rav as a solid back line. So yeah, I think he deserves that accolade.
Okay, good shout. You can echo that if you want, Rich, or you can have your own.
Yeah, he was mine, to be honest, barring the mistake. He's been superb, to be honest. He's been strong. He's been putting his body on the line. It's good to see a good old-fashioned centre half putting his body on the line week after week.
All right. Bill, before we let you go then, it is Halloween, so we're asking you to be a little bit evil, and I'm asking you, which 3 clubs would you like to get rid of from the Championship? Not the clubs you think are going to go down, but if you could give you a spell now to get rid of the 3 fan bases that wind you up the most, which 3 would you say goodbye to? Rich?
Leeds. Just don't like them. Then you're probably looking Sunderland for obvious reasons, and Derby. I just really don't like Derby as a football club still.
Yeah.
So
okay. All right. What about you, Will?
Sunderland, their fan base talking about how most of their starting 11 is going to play for England one day is just bonkers. I have a personal sort of hatred for Luton. I don't live too far away, so it doesn't really make much sense. So they're my local Championship club. It's just something about it. I just don't like their fans or the club really. And lastly, I'm going to go with Coventry because in recent seasons it's kind of been us v them at the playoffs a few seasons ago. We've had a few disappointing performances against them. So yeah, I'll go those 3.
Okay, all right. Weirdly, quite a lot of clubs have mentioned you guys as the club they'd like to get rid of.
It's jealousy, that Mark. It's jealousy.
it's mentioned in the same sentence as they think they're a big club, but or they act like a big club, but actually they've not been in the Premier League for 12 years or whatever it has been. So do you understand? Well, I'm not asking if you can understand that point of view, but yeah, there's I was quite taken aback when people have said Borough, but I thought Borough quite inoffensive club, but it seems not. Does that surprise you?
I think not really. One thing we are is we're consistently at the top end of the table. I think it's we don't go up, but we're always in and around it every season. So with a consistently not going up, if you like. But I don't really care. I have these conversations a lot on Twitter, and I don't really care. It's one of them. We are what we are. Greatest football club in the world. Greatest fans in the world. And I think a lot of it just derives off jealousy, to be honest. They wish they were me.
Well said. All right. Listen, enjoy your trip. Enjoy your home game against Coventry, and we'll review that with you this time next week. Thank you very much, of course, for joining as well. Do press that subscribe button before you go, and drop us a like. It massively helps us grow where we want to head, which is Radio Boro at 1 point. Thank you very much, you folks. We'll see you next week.